why not spice things up a little bit and look at some gold coin varieties as well? And a good place to start with for the first coin is none other than the 1911 S issue of the Indian Head Eagle series. In this case, this gold $5 coin has a very nice repunched mint mark to look for. The final placement was due west of the initial S, and as a result, a lot closer to the rim of the coin than the first one would otherwise have been. One can only assume that the initial punching was not deep enough, and that the engraver felt it necessary to punch the mint mark in once again, leaving the remnant of the initial punching towards the east. Now, as is typical for these gold coins, most varieties don't really carry much of a premium, especially when you compare it to the lower fractional denominations, and in 2019, an NGC graded AU53 example was sold at auction for $360. And then for one of the nicer repunched mint mark varieties in the pre-33 gold category, we look to the St. Gordon's Double Eagle series for the 1909 S over S coin. For this coin, the mint mark, as usual, is placed between the rays just above the date. But on this variety, a quick glance with a loupe will reveal the remaining elements of the initial S mint mark towards the east of the final placement. The lower curl of the S displays most clearly in this case, although virtually all of the S is affected at least in some way. In 2019, a PCGS graded 1909 S over S and Gordon's Double Eagle, graded as MS64, was sold at auction for $3,066. And then, well, if we're going to do the pre-33 gold varieties, then we might as well do it right, and go back to the Liberty Head or Coronet Double Eagle of 1853. In this case, it is none other than the 1853 over 2 overdate variety coin. The initial date punch can be best identified towards the lower half of the number 3 in the date, where the distinctive curl of the base of the 2 is still partially detectable. Due to the high premium that this coin commands, it is strongly advisable to look for secondary and confirmatory diagnostics as well. One such point of interest on this particular variety is a small defect on the die, most likely a rust spot that can be seen just below the letter R in Liberty. In 2019, a PCGS graded MS61 example of this rather well-known variety coin was sold at auction for $24,000. And nothing is so emblematic of US mint gold than the venerable Double Eagle coin in any of its various guises throughout the years. And within the Type 3 Liberty Head design, we have a very neat little variety from 1896. The place of interest here is firmly in the date of the coin, as what we see is a repunched date variety. The numbers are all doubled beautifully towards the north, with the 1, the 8, the 9, as well as the 6 all displaying to equal effect. However, upon looking a little bit closer, you should spot equivalent doubling in the recesses and cavities of the 8 and the 9 that correspond with the downward shift that took place with the final placement of the date. A coin like this was sold at auction in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS63 in early 2021 for $2,880. So a very nice variety that can also be easily identified in the Half Eagle series is a repunched mint mark variety for the 1905 Liberty Head Gold $5 coin. The S mint mark is placed prominently in the space just between the bottom of the eagle and towards the top of the word 5. And at first glance, the S mint mark for the San Francisco Mint, where this coin was struck, appears to be completely normal. That is, until you peer towards the right of the actual mint mark. There you should see the remnant of the bottom rounding of what must have been the initial S mint mark, completely out of position from where it should have been. As is so often the case with gold coin varieties of this nature, there really isn't a great premium on varieties since the market is so small, comparatively speaking. There is also no clear auction record for this particular variety, so the best we can do is to point at the sale of an MS62 graded coin from PCGS in 2020 that closed at $825. And then that does remind me that there's actually a strikingly similar variety that appears on a gold dollar coin as well. The 1856S Type 2 gold dollar also harbors a repunched mint mark that is almost entirely separated from the final placement of the S. In this case though, the initial S is placed towards the northeast, with the lower curl of the S seen directly east of the upper serif of the main mint mark, and then the serif of the initial impression in turn is also viewable directly towards the north of that, closer towards the knot of the actual bow. Interestingly, several of these variety coins were discovered when the shipwreck of the SS Central America was recovered, so a lot of these varieties will also be provenanced accordingly. Just so is the coin that was sold in 2019 at a grade of MS64 Plus in a special ship of gold holder from PCGS that managed to sell for $88,125. A very minor, but all the same very interesting variety found on the 1883 S Liberty Head Gold Eagle. Although, on a side note, I do still prefer to call this particular design the Coronet Head design, as it is, at least in my opinion, more descriptive. But Liberty Head does seem to be becoming more pervasive overall. Anyway, back to why we're all here. This is a repunched date variety, so naturally the place of interest is towards the date. If you examine the denticles just below the number 3 of the date, you will soon see what may appear as an additional half denticle of sorts, but what this is in fact the remains of an additional 3. Now this is actually a fairly interesting case, as the mintage for the Gold Eagle at San Francisco in 1883 was fairly small at only 38,000 coins. So it is possible that only a single obverse die was used in the production of the Eagle for that year. So what that means is that probably every 83S Eagle has this particular feature. So does that mean that it's still a variety, or would that simply make it a die mark of sorts? Let me know what you say in the comment section below. Now, in 2020 though, an MS63 graded example was sold at auction in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS63 for $7,200. Staying with the coronet head design for now, but moving down to the half eagle instead, the 1901 S gold coin has an interesting variety that certainly deserves further study. The coin in question is a repunched mint mark variety. Now, on this coin, the S mint mark appears to have been struck over a smaller S punch. Depending on the die state of the coin you may encounter, you can identify various features of the initial S underneath the final placement, including the lower curl of the letter inside the lower cavity of the S mint mark, along with the corresponding serif, making the serif of the S mint mark appear far larger and cumbersome than it would normally be. In some coins of this description, you can also see a small spike of sorts towards the north of this position as well. In 2015, an NGC graded MS66 Plus example of this variety, despite not being denoted as such on the NGC label, was sold at auction for $4,230. Then let's shift our attention from there to the ever-popular St. Gaudens Double Eagle, as we see another repunched mint-mark variety on the 1911 D issue for the series. This is a very clear variety, as both the initial D impression as well as the final D mint mark are both very clearly struck, with the final placement due west of the initial D. As a result, the rounding of the D is very nicely doubled, quite clearly on this coin. During 2019, a PCGS graded MS66 Plus example of this particular variety was sold at auction for the sum of $25,850, placing it at quite an attractive premium over the base coin, which can expect to sell for at least half as much or perhaps maybe even a third of that amount in a similar grade. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon to make sure that you don't miss any future videos. For the World Numismatic News, I'm Numisman saying thank you for watching, stay safe, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.